All right, welcome back. So before we go any further, I do want to show you something that I wanted to show you in the last video, but I didn't. I really wanted to stop the recording because the train was getting really annoying. So I'm just gonna try and not record when the train's going by. Anyway, the thing and the main reason why I want to create collections is because we want to be able to use these requests to the API often and often so that we can keep on testing our API as we add more features to it. So what I want you to do now, so that you don't have to write this every time, is that I want you to save this to the collection. And first you have to pick the collection where you want it at, which is the ppm tool collection that I created, and then you want to give it a more descriptive name. First, you want to start with the operation for that API request. As you can see, it matches the actual operation, which is a post operation, and then you can give it a name. Let's say create new project. Okay, so what this does is that it actually saves it, and it gives it like a color code here, and then it gives like different colors to when it's delete, when it's just get, when it's patch, and that way you know, okay, let me look at all my posts and see if I want to test, say, creating or registering a new user, or in this case, create a new project. Okay, so please make sure that all the API requests that we are going to create on Postman, make sure that you save them so that you don't have to recreate them again. Okay, so we're going to take our first step to setting up validation, because what happened in the last video is a huge no-no. Like, you don't want no project objects. Like, you don't want garbage taking up space in your database, and you want sometimes to help the user send actual correct data. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to take a hard look at our project object and actually define together what is a valid project object. Okay, this is going to be a really good exercise. And again, I am going to just set validation for certain attributes. If you feel that you want to have a message or a different type of validation, please go ahead and set it up however you see fit. I'm just going to give you the examples that I want to set up for this project. Okay, so the first thing is very simple. We don't want a blank project name, so I am going to use the annotation not blank from validation constraints. Now, this annotation allows us to set up a message, and in this case, the message is going to be project name is required. All right, so we don't want a blank project name. Then the next thing that we're going to talk about is the project identifier, because here we're going to set a quite substantial set of constraints for this one. All right, first of all, we're going to do the same thing, not blank message, and we're going to say project identifier is required. This is the first thing because obviously we want to set up a project identifier, which is going to be a custom string. Then the next thing that we're going to enforce is the size of the project identifier. And if you remember the demo, it couldn't be less than 4, but it cannot be more than 5. This is something that I am emulating, a functionality that I am emulating from Jira. Basically, when you create a project with Jira, based on the project name, Jira will give you a string identifier that's actually like a abbreviation of the project name, and that also helps you drive the sequence of the project tasks that you have in your project. So again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I wanted to give you some context as to why I'm doing this. So we're gonna have, again, minimum 4 and max 5 characters, and then we're obviously going to set up a message for this one, and the message is going to be please use 4 to 5 characters. Okay. Characters, perfect. Now the next thing that we want to validate, or that we want to enforce here, is that since we're going to create a project identifier, well, it has to be unique, and we shouldn't be able to update it once we create it, right? Because again, this is going to drive a lot of important things, including fetching a project by ID, and also it's going to drive the sequence of the project tasks. So basically, this is a very important piece of information right now, and we want to make sure that it's very consistent. So we're going to use the add column annotation that this column allows you to set up some parameters for the column itself. And basically what we're going to do here is updatable false. So we cannot update this one. And then we're going to do unique true. All right. The last one that I'm going to enforce here is going to be the description, which it's also going to have a not blank. Let me do that properly. Project description is required. All right, perfect. Now, the other two things that I want to do is that I want to set up a better JSON format for the date, and I'm going to show you why. Let me just come here to my database. I'm sorry, to the JSON response that we got here, and as you can see, we get a date with the timestamp, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. You can still kind of make sense of it, but I want to have something cleaner for our backend, and this is actually something that I wanted to do better in the first version of this tool, which is the one that I demoed to you at the beginning of the course. So for this, we're going to use the annotation called JSON format, and then we're going to give it a pattern. And then the pattern for this date is going to be year, month, date. And I'm actually just going to do this for all the dates that we have here. I don't think we're going to be using the time at this stage, so I'd rather just get a clean JSON format for the dates. All right, cool. So with that, I think I'm going to stop the video here, and then we're going to start working on understanding what happens when we send an invalid project object. And again, the definition of invalid project object is a project object that we're trying to persist that doesn't fulfill this criteria that we have just set up. All right, and then we're going to start handling this, and the next couple of lessons are going to be a lot of fun, I promise you. All right, see you then.